Hello, everybody. We're back with the reading of Invisible Romans by Robert Knapp. Now, we're still early. I've only done two readings of this so far, and we're still in chapter one, which is Ordinary Men. In this wonderful book so far about the lives of just ordinary Romans, um, of which we don't get a whole lot of, although there's more coming up in that subject lately. Just recently, I started an audio book. I forget it was about Roman economics, but it was about the 90% of Rome, the lower class, not the upper class. I had to share that with you guys in a short, what it's called and everything, because so far it's really good. I've been listening to it on the way to work. But that book and this one are one of the few I know of about like the average Roman. But either way, we're getting the data, we're getting the information. That's what counts. I'm going to start this new subheading called Worries. Going to read it a little bit of the way, and if you feel like it, like, subscribe if you don't already. Drop a comment, let me know what you think about everything, and we shall join back into what it's like for the average Roman male in ancient times. As ordinary men ordered their lives through popular morality and bringing the supernatural to bear, their personal concerns could throw life into turmoil at any moment. Ordinary men lived in a world full of actual and potential changes in fortune. These might be for good or for evil. The natural reaction to living in a world full of uncontrollable physical and social threats to survival, not to say happiness, was worry and, if possible, action. Given the differentials in power, the heavily hierarchized social structure, and the vagaries of weather, disease, and natural disaster, people turn to supra rational means to predict and so deal with the future. Although mentions of elites are fairly common since they, too, utilize dream interpreters and astrologers to help deal with their life issues, both the Carmen Astrologicum and Artemidorus' interpretation of dreams clearly reflect the mind of ordinary men and women. Because of their usefulness as resources for dealing with life's issues, these handbooks offer a valuable insight into what was worrying men in their daily lives. The overarching theme, not surprisingly, of both the Carmen and the Artemidorus' treatment of dreams is changes in fortune. The advice, interpretations, and prognostications reveal core issues for success or failure in life, encompassing such concerns as death, disease, financial challenges, marriage and family, and risk of journeys. They also focus on the violence of everyday life, stressful interpersonal interactions, and dealings with the law. The emphasis is on down to earth problems. There is a significant lack of concern for what might be called quote unquote large calamities. There is only one reference to Artemidorus to approach of enemies, barren land, and famine, and Streams 2.9. While history focuses on wars and rumors of wars, disasters, and political maneuverings of the elite, ordinary men had little or no such thought for such things. They were preoccupied rather with their immediate situations. Magical papyri also offer a window. Death, while the commonest topic in Artemidorus' dream interpretations book, does not receive much mention in these. Magic apparently cannot ward off the Grim Reaper except indirectly by curing disease. Likewise, family relations, a topic that figures largely in Artemidorus, is largely missing from the incantations of the papyri, although it does occasionally appear. Otherwise, the topics of the Carmen and Artemidorus' interpretations frequently track the same concerns shown in the magical papyri: disease and financial success, success in disputes at law, and standing in the eyes of others. Together, the three sources leave a very clear impression of the day to day concerns of ordinary people. Although bad things happening to people far outnumber good things, good fortune is mentioned at times. The Carmen speaks of a good fate as quote unquote wealth and praise for men. Wealthy, rich, powerful in business affairs, great in prosperity, seizing eminence and fortune and increasing them, and fortune, eminence, commendation, praise, and a good livelihood. Although these might seem to fit the high end of ordinary quote unquote good fortune, more than the experience of most mutatis mutandis, we can suppose that for ordinary persons as well, sufficient wealth, success in business, and good standing among his neighbors, friends, and associates would constitute good fortune. Elsewhere, the Carmen also mentions a beautiful and faithful wife, good friends, and victory over one's enemies as good fortune for men, and good health and a fine reputation as good fortune for women. These are the things that everyone would hope to come to pass in his life, but prediction literature dwelled much, much more on the possibilities of these not happening in one aspect or another. This is quite natural, for people who seek advice are mostly worried people. As Artemidorus says, quote, people with no cares have no need of a seer. That's Dreams 3.20. Death is the single commonest concern. In the Carmen, there's a long list of possible deaths, almost as bad. It is mentioned in other contexts repeatedly. In Artemidorus, death, grief, and mourning are the most cited events by far. This could be one's own death or the death of a person close to you, family member, or friend. The pervasive presence of death is striking in its dominance of worries. The normality of death, as we might view it statistically, very many children dead by age 10, half the population dead by 20, a life expectancy of under 50, clearly was of no consolation to people. Rather, the reality held them and they worried about it constantly. Like all the concerns I will discuss, we should not think that ordinary men moped about in perpetual fear of the angel of death, but since death was so real, so unpredictable, and so disruptive to the living, it is no surprise that they thought about it a lot. Disease was also constantly on men's minds. Despite or because of the state of herbal and medical remedies in their world, disease that could easily debilitate or kill was an ever present threat to well being, as with reference to death, Artemidorus is full of examples of illness. And of course, death and disease are often joined. The inability to leave or discover a way out of one's own abode or home in which he dreams himself to be indicates obstacles causing delay for those having in mind to be away from home, hindrances for those planning to accomplish something, serious disease for one who is sick, and death to one with a lingering disease. That is from Dreams 2.2. In the Carmen, death is frequently present as a fate as well. For example, if Saturn is in quartile of Mars, while Saturn is in the 10th sign, he will have little medical treatment. He will be weak in his body, unceasing in diseases because of fevers. He will be shaking. It's Carmen 2.15. Or, if Saturn and Mars are in the same sign and the moon is between them, then this native will be a leper, and scabies and itching will seize him. Carmen 4.1. Apparently, planets in alignment will also screw you over. By definition, an ordinary man had enough to live on, but his concern was whether more resources would come his way, enhancing his life, or fewer, endangering his ability to manage. And of course, the range of financial situations was great. Artemidorus mentions all sorts, from the laborer, sailor, artisan, and service provider, e.g., innkeeper, to what would seem to be long distance merchants and wholesalers. Whatever their financial position, however, major worries preoccupied them. Financial success heads the list. Artemidorus can say, a great treasure indicates distress and anxieties, Dreams 2.59, and a rich man must spend his money lavishly and be the object of plots and envy, Dreams 4.17, but this perhaps only reflects either a little bit of popular philosophizing or the myth of the unhappy rich, ever popular among ordinary men of all ages. By far the most references in Artemidorus are concerned with increased financial success. That success was often precarious. Men had scant opportunity to make a great leap in economic condition. But hard-working persons could be successful, although just how many managed this is impossible to know. Artemidorus tells the tale of the child of a farmer who became a shipmaster and, indeed, quote, was extremely successful. That's Dreams 5.74. Note to self, I need to read Artemidorus' Dreams. A similar story is told by the peasant of Maktar, Tunisia, who rose from poverty to local office. I was born into a poor family. My father had no possessions or house of his own. Since the day of my birth, I have always worked my land. Neither my land nor I have ever rested. When the harvest season of the year came round and grain was ripe, I was the first to cut my stalks. When the gangs of harvesters who hire themselves out around Carita, the capital of the Numidians, or in the fertile plain of Jupiter, appeared in the country, then I was the first to reap my field. Then, leaving my country, I harvested for other men for 12 years under a burning sun. For 11 years I commanded a gang of harvesters and harvested grain in the fields of the Numidians. By my work, having made do with little, I at last became the owner of a house and a rural estate. Today I don't lack for anything. I have even risen to honors. I have been enrolled among the magistrates of my city, and my colleagues have elected me who began life as a poor peasant, centaur. I have seen my children and grandchildren come into the world and grow up around me. I have lived blamelessly, deservedly, honored by all. Although this man's success is spectacular, it was by no means unique. Artemidorus gives an interpretation of a dream that one has a large head. To dream that you have a large head is a good thing for a rich man who has not yet held office, as well as for a poor man, an athlete, a moneylender, a banker, and a collector of monetary subscriptions. For a rich man, it portends a leadership role in which there is need of a crown for him, or a priestly fillet, or a diadem. For the others, it means successful business and additional monetary gain. So the increase in the size of the head points to these things. And I think I'll let that be a briefer reading tonight. I'll stop there so I can start a full paragraph in the same subheading next time. Um, but yeah, it definitely took me back about the guy who was the harvester. It just took me back to when I spent weekends on my grandparents' farm back when they were alive, when I was 5 or so, and every weekend we had to go over there and I had to pick potato bugs off potato plants all day after slopping hogs. Fun times. Has to be done. Don't recommend it for vacations, but yeah. So that's where we'll end for today. I hope you guys like that little bit of reading. And yeah, the average age was 50, and so many of them died before the age of 10. Yeah, that's gonna just, that's gonna leave me thinking the rest of the day about trauma that Romans might have had, that they might have just been pushing down in themselves. But yeah, on that cheery note, I shall leave all of you with the rest of your day. Feel free to comment. Let me know what you think about anything, or if you've grabbed this book yet, and if you've read all of it, some of it, none of it. And I will hopefully see you folks next time. Stay safe out there.